This video is for those of you that have an older vehicle like me. When you drive over a bump, you may hear a thump sound or a bang sound coming from the lower front end. In this video, I'm going to show you what to inspect to find out if it's the problem and show you how simple it is to replace. Now on my vehicle, you can see I keep it extremely well. Everything's been replaced. The upper control arms, the lower control arms on both sides of the front. Brakes are all done. Everything's been replaced. The one thing I did not swap out is the sway bar bushings. So more than likely in my case, it's going to be that. But keep in mind, it can also have a similar sound when you go over a bump or make a turn if your lower control arm or upper control arm is heavily worn on either side. So to get started, I'm going to chock the back wheel, and then I'm going to jack up the front and remove the driver's wheel. Loosen the lugs now before I raise it up. Before fully loosening the lug nuts, you want to grab the tire at the top and bottom, and you want to pull like this. Make sure there's no play top to bottom, and put your hand on the left side and the right side. Do the same thing. Make sure there's no movement. If there is, that's going to indicate that you have some worn components, and I'll show you what they are in just a minute. In my case, there are none. Now I'm going to place a jack stand right next to this jack so I can remove it. Okay, with the car on the jack stand, I can now remove the lug nuts and the wheel. Right here's a look inside. Now right over here, what you're looking at with the arrow, that is the sway bar link end. So we're going to be removing that first. There's a nut on the bottom. You see the sway bar right here. Goes right there. And over there is the sway bar bushing. And it looks like there is definitely play around that bushing. So to see how much, I'm going to take off that link end first over here. When the nut's removed, it should pop up, and I'll be able to grab that end and pull up and down. When I'm doing that, I can look over here and see how much play. So let me loosen that nut. I'm going to hold the top while I loosen the bottom. When you're doing this, make sure you inspect these rubber bushings on top and below. Make sure they're not really dried out and cracked or splitting. If they are, you're going to want to replace them when you do the other bushing that surrounds the sway bar. So let me take this completely off, and we're going to go on to the next step. Grab the sway bar, lift up and down. And there's a lot of play. So imagine going over a bump. You would hear that exact sound by your feet in the front end. So in order to replace that bushing, what I need to do is remove 2 bolts on top. Let me zoom in and show you. Okay, so if you take a look right where the arrow is pointing, there's 1 bolt there, very close to that power steering rack boot. And over there is the other one. So I'm going to reach in using an adjustable wrench, using an open end wrench on this side here because it's very tight clearance, and over here I'm going to use a ratchet. Pretty stupid design actually, it's too close. Alright, as long as I get it loose, I'll be able to take it off. Alright, that's good. Alright, so now I'm just going to have to take my time loosening that. I stop because the bolt's pretty loose. Let me do that by hand. Okay, that came out easy. Should come out. Yeah, there it goes. There it goes. Oh, it's not going to be easy getting that back in. Let's see. All right, the bolt is out. Got it. All right, so you see this plate goes on top. Okay, so now the bolts are out, and that moves. So now the pain in the neck's going to be removing this old one, because you got to lift this up high enough, and it looks like it can go high enough. So let me just push the camera to the side, lift this up. I slid it forward, and you can see right here the old one came out in 3 pieces. It's very dry. Completely out of that bracket. Now if you have a problem getting your bushing in because you can't lift the sway bar up high enough, what you're going to need to do in the event it starts hitting the CV axle when you lift it to the highest point is you have to raise this entire assembly up, this whole knuckle here with the lower control arm. In order to do that, you're going to place your jack at the very bottom. You can see where the bolt is. Place it right against that bolt, and you're going to jack up this whole assembly. And by doing that, you're going to change the angle of the CV axle, and it's going to give you a lot more space to lift up the sway bar. In my case, I don't have to do that. It will fit right on there, and I should be able to slide it and pop it into place. Let me put the bushing on the bar, show you that, and then I'm going to have to try and slide it on there, probably off camera because there's not enough space here to have a camera and my head and my hands working. I'm now going to take the new bushing, apply just a thin film of silicone grease on the inside, and then I'm going to put a little bit on the edge over here that's going in towards the engine, because I'm going to have to push it in and clear a little bit of a ledge to get it to pop into place. Okay, the new one is in. Make sure that this flange, this rubber flange that goes all the way around the edge, is fully popped out on the opposite side. You don't want it bound inside that channel. You want to make sure the flange is fully out when you put it in. And I can feel both sides. It's perfect. Now I'm going to put the plate back on, bolt it nice and tight, and then we're going to try moving that bar again. The bolts are tightened down securely. Now I'm going to try moving this bar. Keep an eye right over here. And as you just saw, there's no more movement. Now let me connect the sway bar link end. Now when you put this back together, in the event it's not enough thread sticking down, you're going to have to do as I said earlier, take the jack underneath the whole knuckle assembly where the bolt is, right over here, raise it up, and then the space here will close and you'll have plenty of room to put this all back together. All right, and that's good. The back where the washer is, there's only about 3/16 of an inch space, and this is pushing tight against the plate, and this one down here is all squished out. So this right here is good. All right, that's it for this side. I'm gonna put the tire back on, repeat the process on the passenger side. Always do both. It's stupid to do one side. If one side was worn, you can be assured the other one is also worn, or in the very near future, you're going to have to be replacing it. So just get it all done in one shot. When you go over a speed bump or any other kind of bump after doing this or turning, you should no longer hear the clunking sound. If you do, you're going to want to carefully inspect the bushings on your control arms and other connection points such as tie rods and the stabilizer bar end link. And guys, that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to rate, thumbs up, and share. Thanks for watching.